Guys, if one good thing has come out of 2020 so far, it's that Bill and Ted Face the Music is the most triumphant, totally non-heinous, excellent, bogus film I've seen in a long time.
I must say, I found this film most excellent.
I think that I made it for $5, but it was still good anyway.
It was so great just to see Alex Winter on screen again, man. I didn't realize how much I missed seeing him just like on my television screen, but you know, like I feel like I wish I'd been seeing him these last 20 years because obviously he decided to, you know, take off and he did a lot of work, you know, important work on documentaries and stuff like that. But it was so great to see him again, and he was so good.
Alex Winter looks like he's not missed a day. Like he has just not changed a thing. Keanu looked a little tired from all the John Wick movies. Like,
he did, but he was having fun.
Yeah. But I think that was Ted's thing though. Ted was a little tired as a character.
Yeah, Alex Winter got a lot of rest not making The Gate 3D, so of course he looked well rested. Where the fuck's that movie, Alex? Come on. I love that. I love the first Gate movie. Second one, tolerable. I was all for a remake, and not happening.
But it was wonderful just to see what they did. You know, Sadler was hilarious. And the daughters, man. Phoebe.
And, they actually made female clones of.
They did. They were so
Bill
good.
And Ted.
You know, I think some people might be disappointed because clearly it isn't as grand of an adventure as, you know, the first two, especially the first one. But come on, like the fact that this was made and it turned out and it has such a sweet message, and especially in the time we're living in right now, I think I'm just so glad it came out and turned out the way it did. And
if you have not watched it yet, be sure to stick around for the post-credits scene.
True.
Yes.
I made that mistake when watching it with a group of friends.
Oh,
but luckily I bought it, so.
Yeah, a mistake a lot of my friends made is they didn't buy it. They didn't notice that on Amazon it's only $5 more to own the film. So if you are a listener and you want to see the movie, pay the extra $5. Own it. It's worth it.
Excellent.
Audacious. Okay. That's more of a Ninja Turtle, but yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome to another Miserable Podcast, the place that explores the pumpkin-scented intersection of horror and pop culture.
And it's truly never been quite as miserable as it is this week, what with the heat that Zach and Casey are experiencing this day.
Joining me, as always, my wonderful, wonderful, hopefully not too miserable co-host, Kris Pistol, Professor Casey. How's it going, gents?
I feel like I'm dying. It's 85 degrees in my house with the air conditioner on. So if you hear some fans in the background, sorry, I'm trying not to die.
Yeah, disclaimer, for at least the last couple episodes and maybe the next couple going forward, if you hear fans in the background, extra background noise, forgive us. This is kind of the toughest time to podcast right now. Not so much for Kris, who's in Arkansas. And
yeah, but those of us in SoCal...
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I was putting on my cardigan. It's a little chilly in here.
Kris is wearing a parka as we record right now.
Just rubbing it in our face.
Zach and I are both in the Borat Mankini, just trying to air everything out at the same time. Yeah.
It's true. I mean, I usually record nude. You guys are cool with it, so...
Yeah. It's like, you know, it's naked time. That's why we're not a video podcast.
Well, this is a tough transition, but I think it'd be...
Leave this in.
Leave this in, Zach. So we're gonna transition to death, horrible death. This is actually really sad. Both of these kind of bum me out. The Chadwick Boseman one was really fucking sad. If you wanna hear about how he touches lives, specifically for African American kids, I want you to hear my co-host talk about it on the last MMM show. It's Mass Mats and Mayhem that we did. He hit on that there, and he talked about how important Black Panther is to the black community, because all of us are white as fuck. So coming from us, it's not as powerful. But we all were greatly saddened by his death. One of the best heroes in the MCU, as well as real life. And while he was sick, he was going and doing Make-A-Wish visits and making the lives of kids brighter that were worse off than he was. And so Chadwick Boseman was a hero not only on the screen but in real life. And our hats off to him for sure.
Yeah, just a remarkable actor, remarkable human being.
You haven't seen Da 5 Bloods yet. Check it out.
And if you haven't seen him as James Brown, oh man, you need to. He is so good.
James Brown, Jackie Robinson, that guy had such range, man. Will dearly, dearly be missed, but he'll always be a hero to kids around the world of every creed and nationality, and Wakanda forever, you know? Also, we wanted to touch on the passing of Peter Lakazi, who starred in one of my favorite horror comedies of all time, Killer Clowns in Outer Space. He played Paul Tarazi. He's kind of similar sounding to his own name, actually, one of the ice cream delivery guys. And it's that's such a part that could easily be a throwaway, could easily turn into a grating role, but he brought such kind of playfulness to it, and he was very likable. And it's just sad that, this time has been tough on everybody. And I just wish the best to him and his family and, the Chiodo brothers, everyone else that worked on that crew. He was a really talented actor, and he brought a lot to that role. And so we all here want to, send our condolences to him. And
yeah, because we're big fans of that movie. And that movie's probably why Zach and I are friends, actually.
So one of the reasons.
What a great basis for a friendship.
I think that's why we started talking is, oh, you like Killer Clowns from Outer Space? Me too. Oh, let's be friends. And then years later, we're eating chili dogs until we get sick. And, yeah.
Oh, God. Yeah. I mean, I imagine Peter Lakazi has probably been to a lot of some of the horror conventions we've been to in the past. I mean, I don't know, because the Chiodo brothers have certainly been to a lot of Monsterpaloozas.
I want to say he may have been a Monsterpalooza guest when they did sort of a Killer Clowns reunion at one of the Monsterpaloozas. But unfortunately, my Monsterpalooza memories are a bit tainted from it being canceled this year, and everything's running together again. I'm having a hard time separating the ones I've been to.
Well, let's pivot from that because we have a lot of reviews to get to today, guys. That's kind of what this show is. A lot of recent horror releases have come out, so this is sort of a catch-up show for us. I
love ketchup.
But it's exciting because this week we have 2 theatrical reviews, which we haven't done in forever because movie theaters have been closed, but they have opened up. And both these 2 films that I'm reviewing right now had limited theatrical releases at drive-in theaters, and they are at some of the theaters that are open right now.
Technically, we had 3 because we sort of did Bill and Ted also, but...
sure, yeah, mini review.
And I saw Tenet this week, but I'm not talking about it. I refuse.
So I'm stoked because I get to use this awesome musical cue that I haven't been able to use in a long time that I mixed together, so play it, me!
That was beautiful.
It's been like 3 months since we've been able to play that or more. So that's pretty cool. Because the last time we were able to play that was, what was the last movie we saw in the theater? Because was it
Fantasy Island? Maybe. Well, it was one of them.
You
weren't on that. I don't think you were on that episode, but no. Fantasy Island was one of them. I don't know if that was the last one. I'd have to go back and check.
I think Ready or Not might have been the last.
You guys missed The Invisible Man?
Oh, Invisible Man. There you go. That was it. 100%.
Fantasy Island was like a year, or Ready or Not was like a year ago, Casey. That was our 10th episode.
Shit, we're episode 33 right now, you guys.
31.
Okay, I don't know.
Not counting the commentaries, so.
Yeah, I was counting the commentaries, apparently, and I'm still off by 1, but still.
So, my first theatrical review is Relic, written and directed by Natalie Erica James.
It's killer spelled backwards.
Interestingly enough, this is produced by Jake Gyllenhaal and executive produced by the Russo brothers. So there's some pedigree here for sure. It stars Emily Mortimer. I can't speak. Emily Mortimer, Bella Heathcote, and Robin Nevin. So yeah, it had a limited theatrical release. It definitely had a lot of drive-ins. I don't think it was there when I tried to go to the drive-in. I think it just left. There was another movie that had replaced it called Amulet, which I haven't seen. It's another horror movie. But right now it's available for rental, kind of like a premium rental price, since it was a limited release for about $6.99. So Relic is kind of a moody horror drama in the vein of The Babadook. If you guys see The Babadook, Casey's not a fan.
Oh, yeah. I heard comparisons to Hereditary as well.
A bit. I would say it's closer to The Babadook, but it's
okay
because it's basically an exploration
so
of
the good.
Yeah, it's basically an exploration of the creeping effects of dementia. They're very upfront about that it's basically a metaphor for dementia. I mean, this whole film is. The IMDb description reads, a daughter, mother, and grandmother are haunted by a manifestation of dementia that consumes their family's home. So it's very upfront about that, and but there's a lot of symbolism and metaphor here. Basically, the basic plot revolves around Kay, who's played by Emily Mortimer. She returns to her family home along with her daughter Sam because Emily Mortimer's mom has gone missing. So they look everywhere for her. They can't find her. Several days pass until one morning she wakes up and her mom has returned and she's like making tea, but she looks disheveled. Something is clearly not right. She's not acting quite right. She has this weird rash on her chest. So something's off.
Happens to me every 2 weeks, honestly.
That must be odd for your girlfriend, man.
Yeah, we get through it. She's used to it by now.
But yeah, so essentially, director Natalie Erica James, she portrays this kind of dementia through. There's this kind of insidious sort of seeping darkness in the corners of the house that it's slowly progressing, and it's a very apt depiction of what dementia is like in terms of it quietly kind of overtakes you and it quietly overtakes the characters of the film. And that reality is terrifying. Unfortunately, I think Relic, where it fails, is it doesn't work quite as well as a horror movie. It's a little slow paced. The actress that plays the mother, Edna, Robin Nevin, is fantastic, portraying someone that's afflicted with dementia, struggling to deal with it. It's just not that exciting to watch. It doesn't quite succeed as a horror film. It's very slow. It's kind of very drab to look at. Nothing really happens till the third act, which is certainly the best part of the third act, and best part of the movie. I won't give away what happens, but it's basically an expansion of the horror of dementia and struggling with that and fighting that off.
Zach, have you seen The Taking of Deborah Logan?
Yes, but it's been a while.
But that's kind of the standard for dementia-based horror movies. How would you say this one stacks up? It
doesn't have someone swallowing someone's head in their mouth.
Sounds like throw it in the trash.
I will say the ending is effective. It kind of nails the message of the film home without giving too much away. It's a good drama. It's just not super interesting. I think The Babadook was a little more effective as a horror movie, but maybe this is more effective exploration of mental illness. I mean, dementia is, its own affliction. So, but really the other issue is there isn't really. Dementia is the villain of the movie. There's no monster or anything like that,
I will still probably see this because it has a very high Rotten Tomatoes score on the critics and very, very low audience score, which is usually like the perfect storm of interesting movie. Not always good movie, but interesting.
It's interesting. I enjoyed it. My final rating was 3 stars. Well made, just slow.
And depressing as fuck is what I've heard.
It's depressing.
I'm sorry, Zach. It's depressing as poop.
So slow and depressing is just selling me so much on this film, Zach. I can't wait to hear about your next one.
So my next theatrical release is Sputnik. Casey, you just saw The Mermaid, Lake of the Dead, right?
Yeah, which is why I said, Zach, you watch Sputnik. I don't want to see another Russian horror movie right now.
Sputnik is solid. It's directed by Igor Abramenko, starring Oksana Akachina. I hope I said that right.
Dude, I didn't even try reading the names for the mermaid. I didn't go for the mermaid names at all. I'm just like, okay, this is a movie. This is what it was about.
So there's been a lot of comparisons to Alien here. It's not quite Alien, but I'll get into it. The plot involves a doctor named Tatiana, who is tasked with helping an astronaut, or since this is Russia, a cosmonaut, who crash landed after finishing a recent mission, and he's experiencing amnesia. His partner was killed in this crash. He doesn't know that. They're kind of keeping things from him. But the thing is, he's not just missing memories. He's being kept behind locked doors, and he's being watched on surveillance 24/7. And it's revealed very early on, so this isn't a spoiler, it's in the trailers, that he brought back a passenger with him when he crash landed. An alien passenger, a parasite, which ejects itself from his body every night between like 1:30 and like 3 a.m. So for about 90 minutes, it ejects from his body.
And it looks exactly like the alien from Earth Girls Are Easy. Right?
Well, exactly, yes, it's weird. Unlike the xenomorph, though, this alien is not harming its host, seemingly. It seems to be kind of living, coexisting with it. So this doctor is basically assigned to, not in a good way, it still kills people, just not the host.
I thought it was a love story.
No.
It sounded like you were starting to describe a romantic comedy.
So basically, the lead plays Tanya. She's just investigating whether this alien is like parasitic or symbiotic and how to attach it from this cosmonaut. The film, they clearly had a limited budget, but it looks nice. The color palette is very gray. The alien itself is neat. It's not as cool as a xenomorph. The problem with it is that the runtime is very padded. It just goes about 2 hours or so, and they could easily have trimmed like 20 minutes off. But the acting is very good throughout. The actor who plays the cosmonaut, Peter Fedorov, he gives a great performance. And it's certainly, I would say, I'm trying to remember if there are really practical effects. The gore that's there looks decent. There's some good shots. If it's CG, it's good CG, and the alien looks pretty cool. It's not crummy asylum CG. This looks good. It just doesn't have a lot of personality, and I think that's my main critique. They really needed to like inject some humor into the proceedings, because it looks like not one laugh was had on set.
It's like, Russia, Zach. Jesus.
But I was like, someone smile.
No one's laughing in Russia.
This is like such a cold, like austere movie. I'm like, guys, I need like someone to fart. Like,
we do not make a movie for fun. We make a movie for profit. I am so sorry to all the Russia.
You look at like the crew
right
of like Alien. There's so much personality there, and it's just like there isn't really that here. It needed kind of like a ragtag crew of people. This,
Please
this
hack
takes.
us.
It doesn't take place in space. The ship crashes on Earth, and they're investigating on Earth, so it misses the mystery of the the blackness of space behind it. And I think the other thing is that there aren't really a lot of memorable moments in this film. You think Alien, there's so many. The discovery of the eggs, the chest bursting scene, that whole final sequence with Ripley ejecting the xenomorph, spoilers, but there's just nothing like that here. There isn't really a final showdown to that. There's some action sequences, but it's just not the same level. I mean, it's unfair to compare anything to Alien or Aliens, but this kind of, you're in that category, so it's gonna happen. But it is well shot. The acting is good. It's just kind of overstays its welcome a bit. I gave it 3.5 stars. So that is Sputnik. It is available again at a premium price of about $6.99 on most. Just like I think I watched it on Amazon Prime. There are some limited theatrical releases anywhere. I don't know if it's still playing at any drive-thrus, but it's worth a watch.
Well, you got a couple solid 3-star range movies out of there. You did better. You did better than I did. Well, actually, maybe if you averaged my two choices together, I think we would still be lower than 3 stars, but we could try.
Well, that was our theatrical section, but we do have a bunch of streaming reviews for you guys, and to do that, we have to go to Don't Cross the Streams.
I like this song better.
Hold on, Zach. You said Crossing the Streams was bad. Sorry. I get the urge to quote that every time.
That is one big Twinkie.
Okay, Kris, Casey, who wants to start? Who's got a review?
I feel like mine are kind of middling. So to Casey, I feel like to swing this around, we need some crap.
Okay, it's some crap. Okay, so I watched The Shed on Shudder, and
now
I've
that's
noticed
the Christian movie, right? About the guy who goes to the shed.
No,
and finds God.
It is not. It's also not the other movie called Shed from 2020. It's The Shed.
Oh, okay.
Because there's another horror movie just called Shed, which actually
we
looks
should make
way
one called
more
A
interesting.
Shed.
We should. See, I know a guy that made one called Bloodshed, which that's a cool name, right?
That's the best shed.
Yeah, which
a
really
cool
this
shed.
movie could have been called because it's about a vampire in a shed. But this is a Shudder pick. This is a Shudder exclusive, and kind of wish they didn't.
Well, it kind of happens sometimes.
They're not all winners with Shudder.
Not all winners.
But I do got to say, they really delivered on my next choice, and there's an upcoming thing that I wanted to talk to the audience about later that they're knocking it out of the park. But this was not one of them. This is directed by Frank Sabatella. It's basically a story about a guy gets bit by a vampire, and as he's bit by a vampire, the sun comes up, kills the vampire, but it starts burning him because he's already turning into a vampire. So he runs into his shed on this property of this troubled teen and his grandpa, and he hides in there, and basically the whole movie is the teen attempting to deal with a vampire in his shed that keeps killing his family members, friends, and anyone that convolutedly can get towards the shed. A lot of people decide to look at the shed. That's kind of a problem I have with the script, actually, is that your main character, his friends, everyone, no one is likable in this movie. So they just seem like dumb people willing to go into a shed and die, which, hey, that's cool, I guess. The vampires look kind of awesome in this, but they almost have a little bit of a Nosferatu look in the beginning, but it seems to get lazier as the film goes on, and they look a little bit more like something from Spookies. They look like the cat monster guy from Spookies a little bit. As
Spookies, you're bringing up Spookies. That's not a bad thing, but it's interesting with Shudder. You can tell when they're pushing something that they're not like totally into it. Because when this came out, they're like, "This is kind of cool," but like they weren't.
And then
like,
they stopped.
Yeah, like you can see like Host. They're like, "This movie is the best movie of the year," But like with this, they were just like, "Here's the shed."
Yeah,
Here you go. From the executive producer of the Saw franchise. That means something.
It's interesting when their hype machine isn't fully behind something.
Honestly, it shouldn't be. I hope they got this shit cheap, is what I'm thinking. But
Probably.
yeah, it kind of devolves into the vampires getting out and infecting other people, and a big showdown inside a house where they fight.
I was just about to ask, why don't the vampires leave the shed?
Well, they eventually do. My main
Like,
question
can't they
is
leave
why
it at night?
Well, yeah, my main well, they lock him in there. They lock the guy in there.
Okay.
But the question I have, especially since spoilers, the movie ends with them burning the shed down.
I was just about to ask, do they try to burn the shed
why
down?
didn't
That's
they
the most
do
obvious
this
thing.
in the first place? Yeah. Also, the kid has
a nice
B-movie
shed.
posters in his room, but needs to watch a movie to know how to kill vampires. Kind of bullshit.
Why would you need to watch a movie to know how to kill vampires? A 3-year-old knows how to kill a vampire.
Exactly. I've known how to kill vampires since I was 3 years old, and I've kept it in the back of my mind just in case I fucking had to do it. So that's kind of dumb.
That's the first thing you teach your kids.
Exactly. Don't talk to strangers. Stake through the heart. Decapitation sunlight.
Unless you're a Christopher Lee vampire and then you stub your toe and that kills you.
Yeah, he kind of goes out easily sometimes, but I do have to say that it's shot competently. It's well acted once you get past the beginning, which is cheesily acted on purpose because it's a dream sequence. And it's just that no one's likable. Like, I would like to see these actors in other movies because I think they would do well. But this isn't the movie for that because what was written for them kind of sucks. Because your main character's a troubled youth, but they don't really go out of the way to give him any redeeming qualities. It's like, yeah, my life sucks and I'm kind of a dick to everyone. They make his life suck so much that you don't want to watch the rest of the movie to watch it suck more. But I gave this 1.5 stars because I felt like every turn of the story, the script took the easy way out, including a girl getting stabbed in the chest. Completely no-sells it and everything's fine. Don't go back to the fact that she was stabbed in the chest. There are a couple good moments in this film. There's actually 1 or 2 decent scares in it that you're like, whoa, hey, that was kind of cool. which redeems it from being completely a 1-star affair. So I gave it 1.5 stars, which my baseline for acceptable movie I just wasn't into was 2 stars. So below that a little bit. I recommend it to no one. Don't waste your time. 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Thanks for nothing, Shudder. I still love you.
How does it compare to like because I think I read an interview with the director and he was talking about a bunch of vampire 80s movies that they were influenced by, like Near Dark and, Lost Boys, of course. And I think Fright Night especially was one like, how is it compared to like the remake of Fright Night, let's say?
No, the remake of Fright Night absolutely destroys it. I thought the remake of Fright Night was an all right movie. I'd probably give that a 2.5 star rating. So yeah, every movie you mentioned completely blows this out of the water, actually. Lost Boys and Near Dark, watch those instead. Watch them back to back. There's no Frog Brothers in this movie, Zach.
I was gonna say you just gotta hire the Frog Brothers, man. You know what? I haven't seen all the direct to like DVD Lost Boys sequels because I love the first one so much, and I don't want to taint it because I know that they're not good.
Yeah, same.
They suck. They suck, but some of them have the Frog Brothers.
Yeah. My inside my brain canon of what happened to the Frog Brothers later will do fine.
Yeah.
You could do worse. They could be the Hellraiser direct-to-video movies.
The Lost Boys is just something that did not need a sequel. It's just so good.
No follow-ups. Nothing. It was one and done, completely fine. Chris, I'm gonna throw this to you. Since you asked for some crap, I gave you crap. What did you end up watching?
Well, I checked out, and I probably would have seen this anyway had Zach not even mentioned it, but the newest Charlie Kaufman movie, which dropped onto Netflix 2 days ago, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which I'm not sure this technically qualifies as a horror movie. I guess the trailer kind of made it seem a little bit, more unnerving than possibly it is. I think it still is worth talking about, though, because I'll say this. If you're the kind of person who Eraserhead is your favorite horror movie of all time, you should probably watch this movie. Like, you will enjoy. You will get something out of it.
David Lynch vibe, then?
Definitely probably the most David Lynch that Kaufman has gone. In the terms of feeling uncomfortable, reality not seeming to make, reality blending, weird shit happening, and then no real explanations. The movie definitely presents itself as a puzzle box for the viewer to just try to sift through their own feelings about what's happening and what it all means. Apparently it is based on a novel, which I've learned a little bit about, and there's a great article with Charlie Kaufman on IndieWire right now where he basically answers some questions about what stuff means for him that I definitely recommend reading after you watch the movie. But apparently the book, there's a twist that is revealed at the end, and the movie kind of just kind of ignores this twist, but still sets it up like it's gonna happen. So it's kind of like an inferred twist to where, like, you can read this in there, but it's never explicitly said.
And I've heard people talk about it being good in the book. Like, I've had this book recommended to me before, and mostly by Audible, actually. But I read reviews that people were like, "Oh, this is so great! The twist, you'll love it." And they don't do that. I would be mad if I read the book first.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing some people who did read the books and were actually pleased with the movie, which I think is interesting. Possibly because it does enough stuff different, but still carries a general vibe, or at least gets this very strange tone. For me, it's a little mixed. I'm not like a huge Charlie Kaufman devotee. I think he's a better writer than a director. So for me, this movie feels a little too long in certain sections. Like, there's a car ride sequence where a character basically starts quoting a poem and then just talks for 7 minutes straight. So if like that's kind of stuff in movies drives you nuts, then you probably won't like this.
Yes, I am more of a Charles Kaufman guy than a Charlie Kaufman guy. The director of Mother's Day.
Yes, yeah, I assume. So Yeah, I'd say if you're like, well, I love, being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine, but I'm not into Charlie Kaufman's directing stuff, then this probably really isn't necessarily for you.
When you've written Eternal Sunshine, there's nowhere to go but down. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's such a
me,
high
Eternal
bar.
Sunshine is his masterpiece. Yeah,
That's why one of the greatest films ever made.
Studied that in grad school for screenwriting. Like, that was one of the main scripts that we talked about all the time.
It's such an incredibly high bar. Like, as a writer, I'd be like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah. At the same time, there's stuff in this movie that is really interesting. I really enjoyed just like thinking about different sections and what it could possibly mean. I mean, there's towards the end, there's like a ballet dance number in a high school that comes out of nowhere. There's a great sequence where a character starts quoting Pauline Kael, and then literally just like, it's like she turns into Pauline Kael, like a cigarette just suddenly appears in her hand and she starts like talking exactly like Pauline Kael. That's really funny and interesting. Like I said, if you're into David Lynch vibes, then definitely this has that. There's some definitely like weird, unnerving sequences, especially with the father mother that the main characters are going to see. David Thewlis and Toni Collette just like give really great, creepy, strange performances.
For some reason, I really want to see what like a Charlie Kaufman penned Friday the 13th would look like. Being Jason Voorhees.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would look like Jason Goes to Hell if it was like being John Malkovich, really, kind of, right?
Like Jason would go to hell, and then in his hell there would just be all this like existential problems. Like he's having to like interview for a job that he's not qualified for or something.
Oh, I really want to see this now.
And people are, like really praising the cast. The lead, Jessie Buckley, is the lead actress. Who, despite the fact that I can just spot a phony American accent like miles away, and it's not that it's a bad American accent, it's just that I can tell when an American accent is not real immediately. But she gives a really good performance. It's very multi-layered, and then Jesse Plemons is also very interesting. So there's interesting stuff about it. It's just kind of like, is this your cup of tea or is it not? Some people, this is the kind of movie that I'm seeing on Letterboxd. I'm seeing like 1-star reviews and 5-star reviews and very, very little in between.
Some films are like that. Did you want to go into your next film yet, or do you want me to go and do my streaming review?
Well, I think, did we both watch La Llorona?
I have not seen La Llorona.
I thought you were going to watch this too.
I watched 3 movies. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's tough.
That's okay. Well, spoilers. I watched La Llorona. So, definitely, I went into this thinking that either this was going to be like the original version of, like, how The Grudge and The Ring are the American remakes of Ringu, and I definitely went into this thinking this was going to be like the original version of The Curse of La Llorona. Apparently, nothing to do with that at all. La Llorona is just like a common myth in that culture.
it's like Bloody Mary, more or less.
Yeah. So, but this definitely has little to do with The Curse of La Llorona in style, technique, and also probably narrative, because there's no real central ghost figure in this movie. Basically, it centers around this ex-dictator in the 1980s. He was this horrible dictator that committed genocide and is now, after years of, I guess, the country slowly being taken back, now on trial for the genocides that he committed. He's found guilty, but through like a loophole, he's sentenced to go back home for a little while, I guess, while he's waiting for the sentence to be carried out. So he goes back to his mansion with his family, and this is like an elderly man who's like in his final years, but he goes back to his mansion with his family, and his mansion is surrounded by protesters who, now that he's found guilty as a genocidal monster, are basically like protesting outside of his house 24 hours a day. And then one day a mysterious maid shows up that may or may not have something to do with his past, and spooky supernatural things start happening to the family inside the mansion while they're surrounded. It's interesting because there's no real score to this movie. You're just constantly hearing the protesters outside either singing or chanting, which gives the movie a very like uncomfortable, unsettling mood. It's definitely a slow burn. So this is a movie with not a lot of jump sequences, not a lot of even really sequences of high tension. It's a lot of more atmosphere and character dynamics. I thought it was really interesting. I thought the final sort of where the movie ends up was pretty chilling and very telling as far as like being more of a message-driven horror movie. Dictators are bad.
No.
Yeah, and I mostly just had fun imagining Trump being put through.
I was gonna say,
as an old man.
if only half our country understood that dictators are bad.
Hopefully, ghosts will come after Trump one day if nobody else does.
But aren't there supposed to be like 10 ghosts in the White House? I mean, I guess he's not there enough to see them. But yeah, damn.
That's true.
This movie really looked interesting to me. I just didn't have enough time to watch it in time for the recording because I had to work a lot of hours last week.
I think it's a solid movie. It's fairly well made. It's not super memorable or super effective as far as being creepy enough for me anyway. Like I feel like some of the more haunting scenes or scenes where it's going for spooky atmosphere or suspense could have probably just had a little bit more style to them or had a little bit more passion thrown in that direction, because it definitely feels more like a thriller drama than necessarily going full into the horror. It's very subtle in what it's trying to do, which is another reason it's totally the opposite of Curse of La Llorona.
Yeah, I feel like being the opposite of that movie is good, though, in
For sure.
a lot of ways.
For sure.
Honestly, judging from your review, have you seen Tigers Are Not Afraid yet?
I have not.
I was thinking about that as well, Casey.
I think that's the movie you might have wanted this one to be. Like, I think you would really love that movie. I definitely loved it. It was tremendous. It's a horror movie with a message, and it definitely is creepy enough. It takes a while, but it gets there.
That's an intense film, yeah.
What would your star rating be?
I think I gave it 3.5. So
that's pretty good.
It's very well made. It's definitely worth checking out if you have the time. It's just probably not something I'll necessarily go back to right away or necessarily recall at the end of the year. But it definitely was very solid, worth someone's time.
It's like one of those ones you look at your list and you're like, oh yeah, I did kind of like that, but not enough to give it a 5-star rating or something.
Yeah.
I almost gave... I actually did give a 5-star rating to a movie this week, but it's not one that's horror-themed. But I do have to very quickly tell everyone with HBO Max to watch Class Action Park immediately. Documentary on a theme park that injures and kills a lot of people. And it's actually a hilarious documentary. It sounds fucked up to say that, but... oh my God, Chris Gethard's in it, and he is really funny.
I definitely really want to see that. Chris,
Yeah,
did you give a rating for I'm Thinking of Ending Things?
I think I also gave that a 3.5.
Okay.
That's why I was like, Casey, go first, because I also have like a 3.5 kind of reviews going on. Very different 3.5. It was weird that I both came to 3.5s with those, because they're very different 3.5s. One is more like quality made, not too memorable. Very memorable, but lots of highs and lows.
I have one more streaming film to review. Did you have anything else, Casey, before I get into that?
Yeah, so it's not for everyone, but I highly want to recommend watching Victor Crowley on Shudder. I actually gave it 4.5 stars, but I'm a really big fan of Adam Green's work. He's basically like if Troma made film competently. He does an old school slasher movie, including old school practical effects. Victor Crowley is a sequel, though, so I do suggest seeing the other Hatchet movies before you get there.
Is this technically Hatchet 4?
Yes.
Okay.
So The way that he launched it was really cool. He did an anniversary screening of the first Hatchet, and he's like, "Oh, hey guys, we're not watching Hatchet. We're actually going to watch this new movie, Hatchet 4, that I made in secret so that I could spring it on you right now."
Whoa.
And that's how he debuted this movie, which is cool.
That's
I had
commitment.
a friend that was at the screening too, and he told the story. And I'm just like, that's amazing that they were able to keep it quiet that long.
That's a strange way nowadays to go about in production for a film, is to not tell people about it.
And it's about a plane crash into Victor Crowley Swamp, which plane crashes actually freak me out. So there were some portions of it that did kind of freak me out a little bit. And Victor Crowley just starts murdering people in various ways. It's very tongue-in-cheek. It's a self-aware movie. It's funny. The reason I'm really bringing it up, I gave this 4.5 stars, but the reason I'm bringing this up is Shudder is also bringing Holliston to the channel. Holliston is the horror sitcom that Adam Green did that I think anyone that listens to this show will like, because we share the same sensibilities and kind of the same sense of humor as the characters. I feel like it's a must watch. It's a little old, so it's a little dated. It started out as a FearNet series, so that's how old it was. It's a good 10 years old at this point. It features Odorous Arungus, who is no longer with us. R.I.P. Dave Brocky. Dee Snider, who is great in this as well. So if you're a metal fan, you'll like it. If you're a horror fan, you'll like it. If you just like sitcoms, you'll enjoy it. It's going to be on Shudder starting the 14th of this month. So check it out. I highly recommend it. And I want you to check it out, so maybe they'll greenlight a 3rd season.
Awesome. And speaking of Adam Green, since you brought him up, check out Digging Up the Morrow, which is probably my favorite film of his. Make a sequel to that, Adam.
Ooh, I haven't seen that one.
It's
Adam
good.
Green is someone I've always liked as like a potential. Like I think he has like amazing potential. He just, at least from the stuff I've seen, he just never seems to have the budget, except for Frozen. I think Frozen is like a perfect example of a small budget done right. And Hatchet to me it's like such great ideas and such like great passion, but not like a whole lot of production, or at least like a whole lot of resources put into it. Like it's a very like put together with duct tape kind of movie.
Yeah. Digging Up the Morrow is kind of a faux mockumentary where Adam Green plays himself, and it's about they come in contact with someone. He like going through fan mail, but he comes across someone who claims to be like a monster hunter. And he like sends him some video of like a monster on camera, and he's like, "What the hell is this?" And so he and his like friends investigate it, and I think I'm forgetting, is it Ray Wise that plays the monster hunter? I'm forgetting the actor's name. I think it's Ray Wise.
Yeah, it is Ray Wise. Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting. It sets up a really intriguing world. Clearly, their budget was limited, and it was kind of, I think, something he'd been working on for years a bit. I'd love to see a sequel with a bigger budget because it set up a really cool, kind of interesting universe. But he hasn't gone back to it yet. But I definitely recommend checking it out. It's an entertaining movie.
Yeah, I want to see this, actually.
I don't know how you haven't seen it. It's a short. It's not super long. It's good.
I've seen a lot of his work, and I've never seen that one. I got to check it out.
It's engaging. It's like I said, I think it's like 80, 90 minutes. It's short.
I'm also looking forward to him and Joe Lynch's new commentaries that they've recorded for some of the Friday the 13th movies that'll be on the box set in next month.
They really
announced,
know
did you
their
see the
shits.
bonuses they announced for that, Chris?
I did, yeah. Excited.
Yeah, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, they are actually including the missing gore scenes from Friday the 13th Part 2 that have been lost for a very long time. They're VHS rips, so no, they're not going to be included in the movie. That would look like shit. It's going to be a standalone.
I'd be okay with that.
Reel. You know, Jason
okay
Goes to Hell.
Changed.
Jason Goes to Hell is going to be like that on the Blu-ray for the uncut version, because they have a new 4K scan of the negative, but the uncut stuff, they only have the HD version, so there's going to be a slight degradation of quality between those scenes on just that disc. But there are a lot of great extra features as well. Lots of new interviews, lots of new commentaries, and Joe Lynch and Adam Green have 4 or 5 of them, which I'm really looking forward to because they know their shit. And on the Part 6 one, they're doing it with Tom Laughlin, which should be entertaining, because hearing him talk about the movie is pretty entertaining.
Sweet, sweet. Well, I got one more review for Don't Cross the Streams here. This is a movie currently available on Netflix. It's called 1BR. I'd seen like ads for this over the last few weeks. It was something that kind of popped up, and I was like, that looks kind of interesting. I think I'd seen it on some people's kind of like horror movie lists of the year. And so it's been on my radar for a bit, so I finally got around to watching it this last week. It's written and directed by David Marmer, starring Nicole Brynden Bloom. Essentially, it's kind of another entry into the kind of cult subgenre. It really reminded me, if you guys know the movie The Invitation, which came out in 2015.
Yes, love that movie.
It has some similarities to that. It's kind of hard to discuss without kind of giving the crux of it away, but it's basically a more modern entry in the weird cult subgenre. So it's centered on this girl who's like in her 20s. She kind of moves across country to Los Angeles to escape a city situation with her estranged parents. She's not really well handled for it, but she's found a job. Anyway, she stumbles across an apartment complex. There's like having an open house, and there's like 20 people at this open house. And I'm like, that's a lot for like a random apartment in this complex. But okay. But she ends up securing the place. But clearly, like immediately something's not right. Cause like as soon as she starts to move in, you see like everyone at this apartment complex it's a very like community. Like they're like having like a barbecue in the courtyard. Everyone's super friendly. And I'm like, no, that doesn't happen in a real apartment complex. You avoid your neighbors like the plague. So immediately shit doesn't smell right. Cause that's just, and especially in LA, if you're an apartment complex, you don't talk to your neighbors.
I don't talk to my neighbors in a house.
Like, I don't talk to my parents.
50-50.
But, it doesn't really take long to reveal what's going on. I won't say exactly what it is, because I don't want to spoil anything, but the facade, so to speak, is lifted about 25-30 minutes into the movie, and this is about like a 100-minute movie. I will say, if you're expecting it to be something fantastical, like all the inhabitants of the complex are secretly rat witches, you're going to be disappointed. Or if you think the complex, if you're expecting it to be like a hidden Aztec temple housing vampires, a la the Titty Twister in From Dusk Till Dawn, you're going to be disappointed. It's nothing.
I'm already disappointed. Yeah. You had me at rat witches, bro.
Yeah, there are no secret witches turning kids into mice here.
Why would I not be disappointed? What's the situation where I'm not disappointed?
It's an engaging movie. It's
okay. There you go.
Is it more of a serious tone though? It's sounding a lot like Satanic Panic right now. The way you're.
I haven't seen Satanic Panic. This is more.
That was jokey, really jokey.
There's some humor here, but it's not as jokey. But it's not Sputnik levels of serious. I would say
it's not the bleakness of Russian life committed to celluloid.
It is very similar to the tone of The Invitation. So with a dash of Get Out, sans the racism.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it sounds like a good combo.
This isn't like the Midsummer cult. This is a different type of cult. So. The lead actress, Nicole Brynden Bloom, is very good. It's refreshing to see an apartment complex. It's like the setting of a horror movie. It doesn't happen too often. I wish they utilized it a bit more. They don't explore it that much. But yeah, overall, there's not a lot original here, but it's a solid blending of ideas. I gave it 3 stars. It's worth a watch. It's a fun popcorn, Saturday night, got nothing else to do. Let's pop this sucker on. And it's entertaining enough. It's got a few tricks up its sleeve. It's just nothing. I kind of wanted more. I wanted there to be something deeper behind what was going on at this apartment and what.
There is nothing deeper.
Basically, after it's revealed early on what's going on, there isn't really too much more than that. They have a few things that they kind of reveal at the end, but it's nothing that you haven't seen before, and it's nothing that interesting.
That's kind of a problem I had with The Shed, actually.
Yeah, I wanted more. I wanted it to be a little more sinister. I wanted, I wanted rat witches, I just didn't get them.
Mm-hmm. Rat witches, we could do a whole podcast on rat witches. I wish this was a bi-weekly...
for our next rat witches episode.
Yeah, this should be a bi-weekly rat witch podcast.
I think that's going to be the name of this episode, Rat Witches.
Rat witches. We should do it, and then people will listen because they think we have rat witches, and then by the time they find out we don't, it's way too late and we already got those clicks.
You know what, guys? Before we end things here, let's have a little Halloween discussion because we are kicking into the Halloween season here. So we're gonna slowly.
Halloween so hard this year, you guys.
We're gonna play our part. We're gonna slowly kick things up. We're gonna have some like fully Halloween themed episodes. We got a Halloween H2O commentary coming up. But since we're just getting into it, I want to ask you guys, how do you usually, I know things are different this year, but how do you usually kind of ring in the Halloween season? What's like the first thing you like to do to kind of get into that fall mood?
Okay, my big one, you know that I consider my Halloween season July 30th, the day after my birthday, until October 31st, because I like going to stores and looking for Halloween stuff, and haven't really done a whole lot of that because of the quarantine. You know, I've gone to Target, I've gone to Walmart. None of them have stuff out yet, because on the West Coast, we don't normally get Halloween stuff until after next week. So we usually start getting things mid-September. I did get my first box of Count Chocula today, so that's a success. It was at the supermarket. My mom bought it for me. She found it there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm very happy because I'm going to be eating that in the morning. But that's another way I like to ring things in. But I like looking for new Halloween decorations, new kinds of candy. Always visiting Spirit Halloween, which is open now. I just haven't been there yet. Things like that. And I also watch Trick or Treat from 1986 on YouTube because it's not available legally. And I haven't done that yet this season. So I should probably do that like the second we stop recording.
Especially since we might do a commentary on it.
I hope so.
Kris, what do you like to do to ring in the Halloween season, man?
Oh, I'm fairly simple. I get myself either some nice fall apple cider and or a pumpkin beverage of some kind. That's right. I'm a basic bitch. I like me a pumpkin spice latte. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'll get a fancy one though. You know, get some blonde roast in that Starbucks.
Wow.
I know, right? And just watch me a horror movie. I'm a simple man. You know, I like simple things. Like horror movies. And then maybe creep in like, you know, the autumn themed horror movies in there, you know, like switch out like a Halloween or like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's like a summer horror movie for me, you know, like to put in like It Follows, you know, something takes place a little bit more in the cooler season.
For sure.
In the Mouth of Madness, that's got some dead leaves flying in the frame. Quite a bit.
I've mentioned this before, I think on our Halloween special we did last year, but one of the ways I ring in the season is I like to watch the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Halloween specials. I think I'm on maybe like the 8th one. I just got past Pleased to Rake Your Acquaintance. And
do you watch them in order from beginning to end or from recent to best? Because I feel like they peak after a certain amount of time.
I watch them from beginning to the later ones. So yeah, I start off at the beginning, man. The beginning ones. What do you mean? Like the first few, or the later ones are like the shitty ones? So
exactly. So the closer you get to Halloween, the shittier it gets. That's not as fun. I feel like you should work towards the best.
I kind of taper off towards the end. I don't always get to everything, but you know,
that's what I do with like movies in general. I save the best ones for closer to Halloween.
When I get to like the 20th. Like the 23rd one, I'm like, okay,
You should like random dice that shit next year. You should just like have the numbers listed out and then just go through them at random. Maybe
I'll try that. Now that's on Disney Plus, so I can watch them all very legally rather than
and edited.
Yeah. Oh, now they have like the full original 4:3 ratio for, you know, all the old episodes, okay. So it's a much better way to watch them. So
that's good.
It's all good and they look great. So if you guys have not seen, if anyone listening has not seen any of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror Halloween specials, highly recommend watching those. They're so good. I also love like the South Park ones. I'm into any kind of cartoon, you know, animated Halloween special that just gets me in the mood.
Same.
One more thing, guys. Another thing I like to do to ring in the season that hasn't happened yet, but it's going to, is I love watching the Food Network's lineup of Halloween programming. Casey and I talked about this last year.
You got me doing this last year, actually, and it was a good time. I need to do this again.
Well, I have their
don't know
lineup
about
of
this.
programming. I have their lineup of oh, Chris, you got to get on board, my friend.
you gotta
yeah.
introduce me to this.
Have you
'cause
not
I
seen
have
Halloween Wars? You have not seen the magic of Halloween Wars?
Halloween Wars is
I don't think I have.
amazing.
Holy shit, you are missing out.
Yeah, dude. Even if they play old ones, you got to go back
Dude,
and
you
watch
got to go
them.
back from the
It's
beginning.
worth it.
It's so good. You have so much to catch up on, man. Oh, crap. Okay.
Where can I watch this?
So I was on the Food Network, son.
or the
don't have no
app.
TV.
They're very good about putting it on the Food Network app, which you might need a cable login to be able to use, unfortunately.
I didn't say I didn't have a cable login.
Okay, then you're good.
So- I
I'm
didn't
sure
have cable.
you can find you can find some old Halloween Wars episodes somewhere, probably on YouTube. If it's like $3 to rent it, it's worth it. Just rent it. You're gonna be sucked in. I guarantee you. So I was worried about this year because I was like, I don't know, guys, with quarantine, I don't know, because I think they filmed some of this stuff in advance. Fortunately, I don't know if they filmed like 2 seasons of Halloween Wars at a time, but I was afraid we weren't gonna get everything. But it looks like we are covered. Because we have of course Halloween Wars. They start off with like their Road to Halloween Wars show, which highlights all the group of people. Chris, if you don't know, since he doesn't know what Halloween Wars is they bring in pumpkin carvers, sugar confectioners, and cake makers, and they have to put.
Dude, the cake is amazing.
Yeah.
Like that's the best part. Like,
and they
for
brought
real.
and the pumpkins, and they are brought together, and the candy stuff is cool. It's all good. They're brought together to make these like awesome themed tableaus. Each week is a different themed competition, so it might be like, here's zombie versus werewolves, or here's an alien thing, or it's a theme to do Beetlejuice or something like that. So it's always a different theme, and each week a team is eliminated. Usually there's about 6 teams or something like that. So it lasts about 6 weeks. And there's like a opening challenge and then a main challenge. So they've been doing this for a long time. It's become very popular.
And there's kind of separate shows that exist from the past for each of those things too. Like there's a pumpkin carving show and a baking show, but this is all at the same time.
Yeah, dude,
though.
they're doing something different this year. So after they're doing a regular season of Halloween Wars, and then after
Nice.
that is over, they're doing Halloween Wars Legends, which for the first time ever, 3 teams made up of reigning Halloween Wars champions will compete to win $20,000. So you're getting like the best people that have ever been on Halloween Wars to make some outstanding shit. So I'm excited.
This is
yeah.
really reminding
Hell
me
yeah.
of one of my new favorite Christmas traditions, which is watching the Christmas episodes of the Great British Bake Off on Netflix.
Oh,
It sounds like
see-
the Halloween equivalent almost.
There are holiday wars
Yeah,
for Christmas
yeah.
as well.
Ooh. All right, well, I'm intrigued. I'll have to check this out. This reminds me of one of my favorite Halloweens where I stocked up on pumpkin juice from the Harry Potter Universal
Yeah.
section.
Another thing they're doing if you're into like the pumpkin carving, they have a show called Outrageous Pumpkins, which is a 4-part competition series of expert pumpkin carvers, specifically hosted by Allison Hannigan. Nice. And that's always really entertaining. They have the Halloween Baking Championship, which I always like
Tremendous.
seeing. I see a witch-shaped cake and I'm happy, especially if it's a rat
Yeah.
witch.
Dude, if I just get simple Halloween cupcakes with like orange frosting or green or purple, not black, it makes your dookie weird. But
All the better.
put like a little spider ring on top of that shit, I'm a happy man. But this is like that times 10 million. Like it's amazing.
Yeah.
Half of them I don't think you could really eat all that much. They get the little
Eating with your
tasteable
eyes,
thing.
man. Eating with your eyes,
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So that's Halloween Baking Championship. That starts September 14th. I guess I should have given the dates. Halloween Wars Road to Halloween Wars starts September 13th, and the new season premieres right after that. Halloween Legends is October 18th. Outrageous Pumpkins is September 13th. There's also Worst Cooks in America Halloween Redemption. And then there's Halloween Freak Show Cakes. Hell yeah, that starts October 18th. That's a 4-episode series where they make freaky cakes. So
This all sounds great. Like I'm so excited.
they've
now.
also done, it doesn't look like they're doing this year, though. They'll probably have a rerun. They've done like Haunted Gingerbread Showdown, which is so weird. Gingerbread is...
that was cool though.
It looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah. They made haunted houses out of gingerbread. Like you can buy kits
That
at
sounds
Michael's
awesome
for
and
that.
adorable.
I mean, like you could get a haunted house gingerbread kit at Michael's this Halloween season.
I think
do
they
make them.
had a Nightmare on Elm Street challenge because I tweeted about it on the account last year that someone made like a Freddy Krueger like gingerbread dude. It looked gnarly, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Now I'm hungry, you guys.
Get some gingerbread.
well, this was fun. I thought this was going to take a long time because we had like 8 movies to review, but we steamrolled through it. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we end things?
Nah, dude. This was a lot of fun. Be sure to check out, if you're subscribing to Shudder through the app, the Slashix, I think I'm pronouncing it right, channel has been playing some pretty good stuff. What they consider a classic is stretching a little bit because they'll play things from last year on there. But it is a good way to find new slasher films. And as you know, I love slasher movies, and I'm taking care of you. I'm also reminding you that Crystal Lake Memories is on Shudder. So that after you watch the 900 hours of bonus shit in the new Friday the 13th box set coming out, there's a 400-minute documentary for you to watch as well. And I highly recommend it.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, so we are going to have a special guest next time we record, so look forward to that. He's got a fun little double feature to subject us to, so that should be interesting. So that'll be next time.
Yeah, because he told me to watch Mausoleum today, and I started watching that, and I really hope that's not one of the movies.
It's not.
Good.
Okay, guys. Casey, Kris, where can they find you on the social media?
You can find me on the Twitters at twitter.com/Kris Pistol, Kris with a K. Or Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd for LOLs at letterboxd.com/Kris Pistol with a K.
And a PISTOLE, pistol with an E. And then, Casey, where can they find you?
Excuse me. All of us are on Letterboxd because if you want spoilers to how we rate the movies, go ahead and find us on Letterboxd.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe don't watch it. Maybe don't follow us like right close. Don't follow us closely before we do a show. But I'm Lucha Gringo on there. I'm Lucha Gringo on Twitter. My Twitter is private, but I will add you. Don't worry about it. Just click that follow button, okay? And yeah, we can talk horror movies, especially this time of month. It's good times, and I should say this time of year. But yeah, if you're looking for Halloween recommendations, be sure to keep an eye on my Twitter because I always do a fun YouTube Halloween playlist every year. And I'm going to have a good one this year because Halloween might be a little shitty, so I got to make up for it.
We will make up for it, indeed. Please follow us on our regular Twitter account, guys. You can just look up Another Miserable Podcast on Twitter, or if you want the actual URL, it is twitter.com/MPOSofficial. It will change at some point, as we are kind of phasing out Miserable Pile of Secrets, but that probably won't happen until the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year. So it's going to stay like that until I can replace our business cards. But for now, it's twitter.com/MPOSofficial. Just look up Another Miserable Podcast. Please subscribe to us on YouTube at Another Miserable Podcast. Any platform that you listen to us on, please subscribe to us there. We are going to be on Amazon. They're adding podcast support, so when that launches, you can find us there as well.
I do got to add one, Zach.
Yeah.
This is very, very, very important. If you listen to us using Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review on
Yes,
there.
that'd really help us out.
Yeah, it helps with the algorithms. It helps with us. Easy for me to say. It helps with the sponsorship opportunities. It just helps us be big swinging dicks in the podcast world. So please give us reviews on there. Positive ones. I don't want to see 5 stars, Casey sucks. I want to see 5 stars, Zach sucks.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Hopefully no suckage is necessary.
No suckage. In fact, put no suckage in your review just so people know.
But we can take criticism. So if you do have honest, thoughtful critiques and want to see improvements to the show or things changed, let me know. I'd be happy to listen to it.
criticism. I'm sensitive. Be gentle.
Yeah, I'm a complete asshole. I will come at you like a rented circus monkey.
And if you want to follow my personal Twitter, that's twitter.com/earth2zach. So earth2zach. And the same thing with Letterboxd. I'm on there as well. And Instagram, same thing. So thank you so much for listening, guys. We have a lot of fun Halloween stuff coming your way. Halloween H2O commentary coming this month as well. Mm-hmm. And then next month,
I have thoughts.
Halloween goodies. So
I have so many thoughts.
Take it easy, guys. Please stay safe. Please continue to wear your masks. If you're in LA, don't die of heat exhaustion.
Yeah, drink lots of water. I have been, and I really have to pee, so I'm glad this was a fast show.
All right, guys. Catch you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.